Everyone, it's Ben from Emtron, and today we're here with Mick from Insight Motorsport, who is the crew chief for the 2022 Open Class winning EVO from Global Aircraft Services. Mick, hi, welcome to the interview.
Hello, Ben.
This is, look, so basically what we want to do here is go through a bit of the spec in the car, learn a little bit of the secrets. I think, guess what you're going to give me, and Mick seems to be fairly reserved right now. But look, Mick, without further ado, let's go through the basic setup of the car: engine size, turbos, power. Give us what we have.
So, obviously, cast block 4G63, 2.2 litre, usual 9280 EFR Borg Warner. Obviously, big rear housing, turbo smart wastegates. Usual.
Transmission?
Is a 6-speed Hollinger, paddle shifted.
Yep.
Plated front diff, plated rear diff. Still with the active center control. That's about it.
And look, the question everybody wants to know, Mick, how much power are we making out of this?
1,000 plus.
1,000 plus. So that could be, who knows, right? So I'm going to say it's about 1,100 horsepower. Sound about right?
Yeah.
So obviously with that sort of power torque management becomes so incredible. And this car being sort of loosely tied to Emtron, let's see what we're actually doing as far as firmware to get that power down.
So obviously at the moment, we've been testing the new torque strategy that's coming out with it. Will be available to everybody very shortly, I believe. With multiple torque strategies, we can kind of have different strategies for each different scenario, which kind of works out perfect. You're not always, rummaging around in user tables and stuff like that to kind of get the job done. It's all there right in front of you.
So you'd say, look, we've moved, if you're talking OE strategies, this now has a mixture of what you'd probably define as fast response, being ignition based, and then your slower response, which are going to be more closing throttle body, limiting throttle, and using the anti-surge valve to bleed excess manifold pressure.
So I think the biggest advantage we have at the moment, especially, small engine, big turbo, circuit car, is we still need a responsive car at the end of the day, despite trying to make the big power. We have the engine produce whatever it can, and we bleed it off.
Yeah, from there on.
Yeah.
So one of the really interesting things, which when you won last year, the 2022 Open Class, was I noticed this car is running the almost like a little bit of a secret sauce here, which is the Emtron active suspension controller. Look, it's not something available for sale. However, being used in here, bringing in G-force, bringing in steering angle, speeds.
G-force is the big one. Speeds, brakes. So.
And if I remember correctly, you were running second throughout the day at time attack, and then you had to put down your hot lap in arguably the worst time of the day at night when track temps had gone down. How did you pull that all together?
The honest answer is give it all it had. So obviously, we'd done the 3 sessions earlier in the day, the third session being what should have been the lap as a figure of speech. And we had a water pump failure. Nothing you can do about it. So, to be honest, the first 2 sectors of our winning lap was the slowest 2 sectors that we'd had of the day, which was to be expected. Sun's gone, track's gone cold. So all you can do, win it on the last sector, which is the 2 straights, funnily enough.
Well, it's a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Look, I think a real interesting part of this car is, the downforce in Open Class that you're allowed to run. So this car produces around the sort of 2 ton
probably getting, I'll loosely say that without going into too much detail.
And like along with that downforce, obviously things like the trade-off is top speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this car, top speed to 80 kilometers an hour would be roughly.
Yeah, roughly,
And you could probably lose the aero and be deep into 300s. However,
we can pull the aero off and I can guarantee we'll get 300.
Yeah.
But
the problem is you lose all that power further down.
Absolutely.
So that's a real interesting part of it. And, talking about the Tilton Evo, which we have all the data on, is it used to run 15 kilometers quicker, but it was 5 seconds a lap slower.
Yeah.
So that aero trade-off is a really interesting part as it sort of comes into play.
And that's the thing I think, people have to understand is there is always something. You don't get something for free.
Yeah. Everything's a trade-off.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about tyres, so tyres are a very interesting one when you're pushing a car around at breakneck speed. But it's not just a 1,1300 kilo Evo Lancer. It's a 3.3 ton Evo Lancer.
100%.
Especially through turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we quite often you're always keeping an eye on tyre temp for the front right for turn 1, and luckily, we don't ever tend to blister tyres.
Yeah.
But same thing, you got to keep an eye on it because it'll get you, as everybody, you said.
Yeah, it'll get you.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, so that much downforce on the car, obviously it's great at high speed, but the lower speed where we start like relying on mechanical grip.
Yep.
How do we sort of manage that when we need the car to perform at 200 plus kilometers here, then we're down to sort of 60, 70 kilometers? How does that transition work? Like, what are you doing as a team to sort of make to maximize that?
So obviously the shock control, I think, is a massive advantage. But the big one being, as a mechanical thing in general, is the combination of spring with obviously the bump stop, packer, however you'd like to describe it. The combination's got to be there. Like, the days of just jamming a massive spring in there, I think for SMSP there's too much lost. You need to have some form of mechanical grip still in the car, which is what we kind of aim for, and then we use a packer to keep the car off the ground.
And like managing obviously understeer as part of that, the center diff control, that's obviously mapped through it all as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ensure we're not pushing the front or overdriving the front, trying to come out of corners.
And there's also a pretty basic in there, the torque per gear. Over your conventional boost by gear, obviously it's a bit more of a refined way of going about it, because we can choose whether it's boost that gets pulled out, whether it's torque by doing ignition trims. There's so many different ways we can do it. All depends on which strategy that we pick to do it at the time.
Yeah.
Which, there's multiple in there. So,
well, Mick, I'm kind of excited because I want to know what happens if you're there, finals, you're in the shootout, and say we're down by a tenth or 2/10 and you need to make that up. Is it suspension you look to? Is it power? Is it like where do you go? Do you pull? What do you do?
In all honesty, you make the car as legally low as you can. And when I say legally, you need to take in consideration cold tyre pressures. You need to take that in and grunt. There always has to be some ink in the bag with grunt, because at the end of the day, especially when you start getting in the afternoon, the track's cooled off, that's all you've got on your side at that point in time.
And how much more boost? Like, what are we talking? How much do we have in it now?
So generally speaking, what we run this car at, there's at least a 5 to 10 pound, little bit in the back there that we can kind of play with. So.
Well, I'm really excited. And look, Mick, congratulations on
Thank you, Ben.
being a part of such an amazing team. The Global Aircraft EVO, look, it probably is a little under the radar, but probably one of the most successful cars sort of out there doing the rounds. And look, we do hope you come back and take the win in 2023 as well.
Absolutely, that's the plan.
Thanks, guys.